For centuries, whispers of bloodthirsty creatures have haunted the darkest corners of the world. From the misty forests of Transylvania to the ancient castles of Romania. From the deep caves of Africa to the hidden alleys of London, legends of vampires have persisted. Some say they are immortal beings cursed to walk the earth, feeding on human blood to survive. Others believe they can transform into bats, control minds, and move with unnatural speed. In Eastern Europe, villagers once told stories of the undead rising from their graves, their eyes glowing red in the moonlight. In New Orleans, tales of shadowy figures lurking in the French Quarter spread fear among the people. Even in modern times, reports of mysterious disappearances and drained bodies continue to surface. For centuries, humanity has feared the darkness, whispering tales of creatures that feed on the living. But are vampires merely myths, or do they still walk among us, hidden in plain sight, watching, waiting, and hunting in the dead of night? Vampires do not eat food like humans. Their survival depends entirely on blood warm, fresh, and preferably from a living human. When a vampire is hungry, their entire body reacts. Their fangs extend, their eyes glow a deep red or golden hue, and their senses sharpen to detect the faintest heartbeat from miles away. Once they capture a victim, vampires sink their razor-sharp fangs, long and deadly like those of a lion, deep into the flesh, usually at the neck, wrists, or even directly over the heart. As they drink, the victim's body weakens rapidly, their life force draining away until they are nothing but a lifeless husk. Some vampires prefer to leave their victims barely alive, allowing them to suffer and slowly fade into death. Others, driven by insatiable hunger, drain every last drop until there is nothing left but a pale, hollow corpse. A vampire does not age. From the moment they are turned, their body remains frozen in time. A young vampire who was turned at 20 will remain looking 20 even after 1,000 years. Their skin is unnaturally smooth, sometimes ice-cold to the touch. Despite appearing human, their features are often eerily perfect: sharp cheekbones, flawless complexion, and an unsettling beauty that can both attract and terrify. However, their eyes are the greatest giveaway. When they are calm, their eyes may appear normal, though unusually striking. But the moment they hunger or become enraged, their pupils dilate, glowing with a haunting light, as if reflecting the fires of hell itself. A human encountering a vampire rarely walks away alive, at least not without a permanent mark. Vampires move with unnatural speed, appearing and disappearing in the blink of an eye. Their voices can be hypnotic, commanding victims to stay still even as their death approaches. Many victims do not even realize they are in danger until it is too late. A simple conversation in a dark alley, a stranger offering a mesmerizing gaze, or a sudden feeling of dizziness, it all happens so fast. By the time they realize what's happening, they feel the sharp pain of fangs sinking into their flesh, and soon, the world fades into eternal darkness. Vampires are master hunters. They prefer to hunt at night, as the darkness provides the perfect cover for their deadly pursuits. Unlike wild animals, they do not chase their victims openly. Instead, they stalk them in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment. Some vampires use deception, pretending to be ordinary people to lure victims into secluded areas. Others use their supernatural charm to seduce, making their prey willingly offer themselves without knowing the true horror awaiting them. Once a victim is caught, escape is nearly impossible. A vampire's grip is as strong as iron, and their speed makes fleeing useless. A vampire is not just a killer, it is a predator driven by instinct and cruelty. Some enjoy playing with their victims, prolonging their suffering for pleasure. Others show no mercy, striking quickly and efficiently. The moment they taste blood, a vampire's restraint vanishes. Their fangs sink deeper, their claws tighten, and their entire body feeds on the life force of their prey. A vampire in full feeding frenzy is a terrifying sight, blood dripping from their lips, eyes glowing with predatory hunger, and an expression of pure ecstasy. They do not stop unless interrupted or completely satisfied. Vampires prefer to live in places where humans fear, to go: abandoned castles, underground crypts, dark forests, and forgotten ruins. Some, however, have adapted to modern society, hiding among humans in luxurious mansions, high-rise buildings, or secret underground lairs. In the past, they were known to dwell in ancient catacombs beneath cities, where they could move undetected. In modern times, some vampires blend into human society, living as wealthy elites, powerful businessmen, or even secret rulers of criminal organizations. They thrive in the shadows, using their power and influence to remain hidden. Despite their terrifying abilities, vampires are not invincible. Sunlight is their greatest enemy. It burns their flesh and can reduce them to ashes within minutes. Some weaker vampires burst into flames instantly upon exposure, while stronger ones can withstand it for a short time before their bodies give in. Religious artifacts like crucifixes and holy water can also harm them, burning their skin and weakening their strength. A wooden stake through the heart is a guaranteed way to kill a vampire, though this requires precision and immense courage. Decapitation is another foolproof method, as no vampire can survive without its head. Additionally, vampires cannot enter a home without being invited. This strange rule, though unexplained, forces them to lure victims outside or manipulate them into granting access. When a human is bitten, they do not always die. If a vampire chooses, they can turn their victim into one of their own by making them drink vampire blood. This transformation is agonizing. The body dies first, the heart stops, and then, moments later, it awakens with a new, unholy hunger. The newly turned vampire experiences an overwhelming thirst for blood, often leading them to kill without control. Their humanity fades with time, replaced by the instinct to hunt, feed, and survive. The longer they live, the less they remember what it was like to be human. Although science dismisses the existence of vampires and provides alternative scientific explanations, numerous events worldwide have convinced people that vampires are not just myths but a reality. Throughout the history of various nations, there have been puzzling cases that have never received satisfactory explanations. Let us explore some of these mysterious events that have led many to believe that vampires live among us. One of the historical figures associated with vampire legends is Vlad III Dracula, the ruler of Wallachia, now part of Romania, in the 15th century. Vlad was famously nicknamed the Impaler due to his brutal practice of impaling thousands of his enemies on sharp stakes. What led people to believe he was a vampire was his rumored habit of drinking the blood of his slain enemies. According to some accounts, Vlad would dip bread into the blood of those he had killed and eat it with pleasure. While scientists suggest that he may have suffered from a psychological disorder, the people of Romania believed he possessed dark supernatural powers. After his death, his tomb was excavated, but his body was nowhere to be found. The disappearance of his remains fueled rumors that Vlad had not truly died, but had instead begun a new life as a real vampire. In some Eastern European countries such as Bulgaria and Poland, grave diggers have discovered corpses that show signs of ancient vampire beliefs. These bodies were found with iron nails or wooden stakes driven through their hearts' heads, separated from their bodies. Large stones placed on their chests to prevent them from rising from the grave. According to the region's history, people believed that those who died from mysterious illnesses or exhibited strange behavior in life could return as vampires. To prevent this, they were buried using these disturbing methods. In the 1800s, a family in Exeter, Rhode Island, USA, experienced a series of mysterious deaths. Mercy Brown, a young girl, died of tuberculosis. However, after her death, villagers began to believe that her spirit was roaming at night, causing illness among her surviving family members. When her grave was exhumed, her body appeared unusually well preserved, with fresh blood visible on her lips, as if she were still alive and had been drinking blood. Fearing the worst, the villagers removed her heart, burned it, and mixed the ashes into a potion, which they forced her sick relatives to drink as a cure. Although modern science explains that her body's preservation was due to the freezing winter temperatures, many continue to believe that Mercy Brown was a real vampire. On the islands of Madagascar, there are legends about mysterious creatures known as Romanganite-dwelling beings that attack people and drink their blood. Villagers from ancient settlements recounted stories of finding bodies completely drained of blood, yet without any obvious wounds. These unexplained deaths led many to believe that vampires roamed the night, silently feeding on their victims before vanishing without a trace. In the 1700s, the small town of Medvia, Serbia, was gripped by fear after residents claimed they were being attacked by a vampire named Petar Blagojevich. According to reports from that time, after Blagojevich's death, he was allegedly seen multiple times at night, visiting his family members and neighbors. Many of them mysteriously died soon after, their bodies appearing drained of blood without any clear explanation. When villagers exhumed his grave, they found his body remarkably intact, with his hair and nails still growing and fresh blood on his lips. Terrified, they drove a wooden stake through his heart, burned his body, and, from that moment on, the mysterious attacks ceased. In the 1980s, the city of Houston, Texas, was abuzz with rumors about a vampire known as the Houston Night Jumper. According to witnesses, this mysterious figure was seen leaping from building to building with incredible speed, attacking people and causing them to lose consciousness for a few seconds before vanishing. Those who claimed to have been attacked reported feeling sharp pain in their necks and extreme weakness, as if some of their blood had been drained. Despite thorough investigations, the police found no scientific evidence to support these claims. However, fear spread rapidly, and for years, many continued to believe that a real vampire lurked in Houston. In 2009, grave diggers in Venice, Italy, discovered the remains of a 16th-century woman who had been buried in an unusual manner. A large stone had been placed in her mouth, as if to prevent her from lifting her head or rising from the grave. In European history, it was widely believed that some of the dead could return as vampires to harm the living. To prevent this, people would drive wooden stakes through corpses or place objects in their mouths, believing that a vampire could not resurrect if it was unable to eat or drink blood. In countries such as Mexico, Puerto Rico, and Brazil, there are strange and chilling tales about a creature known as the chupacabra being believed to be a vampire that hunts animals at night and sucks their blood. Unusual incidents began to be reported in the 1990s, when farmers started finding goats, chickens, and cattle dead under mysterious circumstances. They were completely drained of blood, yet their bodies showed none of the typical damage caused by predator attacks. Eyewitnesses described the chupacabra as a creature with glowing red eyes, scaly skin, and sharp teeth like a lion's. Some even claim it might not be a typical vampire at all, but rather a genetically modified being created through secret military experiments. In the state of Bihar, India, there is a village called Durhara, which has long been associated with vampire legends. For many years, the villagers have reported sightings of mysterious creatures that appear at night and drink human blood. In 1990, there were reports of more than 10 villagers dying under mysterious circumstances. All were completely drained of blood, but had no major wounds. Residents believed that vampires were responsible, leading many to sleep with lanterns burning throughout the night or use garlic as protection. However, scientists provided an alternative explanation, suggesting that the deaths might have been caused by a rare disease leading to severe blood loss. But was it really a disease, or were vampires lurking in the darkness of the night? In 2002, in the villages of Blantyre and Kasungu, Malawi, rumors spread that vampires were attacking people and draining their blood. Villagers reported waking up in the morning with small wounds on their necks and feeling extremely weak, as if they had lost blood overnight without knowing how. Fear continued to spread, and people began to believe that the government was secretly working with the vampires. This led to violent unrest, where angry residents attacked and killed several individuals suspected of being vampires or their collaborators. Although authorities attempted to explain that the deaths might have been caused by anemia or other illnesses, many villagers remained convinced that vampires had invaded their communities. In 2014, grave diggers in the Czech Republic discovered the bodies of people who had been buried in an unusual manner. Their hands and feet had been tied, and some had their heads cut off and placed away from their bodies. According to history, ancient Eastern European communities believed that a person who died in an unusual way, or who had strange traits during their life, had the potential to become a vampire after death. To prevent vampires from rising, they were buried in these strange ways. In 2005, in Kazan, Russia, reports spread about a man who was killing people and drinking their blood. Police arrested a 22-year-old man who confessed that he felt a thirst for blood and experienced supernatural strength, when he consumed his victim's blood. In interviews, he claimed that he felt like a vampire and could not survive without human blood. Although psychiatrists linked his behavior to mental health issues, the incident sparked great fear and led many to believe that vampires could exist in modern times. In the history of vampires, one of the most frequently mentioned cases is the death of Arnold Paule, a resident of the village of Medvia, Serbia, in the 18th century. Arnold was a soldier who returned home after war. During his lifetime, he claimed that he had once been attacked by a vampire but protected himself by eating soil from the vampire's grave and drinking its blood, believing this would shield him from the curse. Some time later, Arnold died in an accident after falling from a horse-drawn cart. After his burial, the village began experiencing terrifying deaths. Residents were dying one after another, showing signs of being drained of blood. In fear, the villagers exhumed his grave a few weeks later. To their great shock, his body was still intact, as if he had not decayed. Fresh blood was visible on his lips. He appeared as if he had only recently died. In the village of Pench, Germany, there are stories about a man who died and was buried in a normal manner. But shortly after his burial, villagers reported seeing him roaming at night, with the same appearance he had at death, except his eyes were red, and his lips appeared to be stained with blood. What was even more terrifying was that everyone who claimed to have seen him later died under mysterious circumstances. When his grave was exhumed, they found his body had not decayed, even after several weeks. His lips had blood on them, as if he had consumed something living. In fear, they drove a wooden stake through his heart, and as soon as they did, his body let out a growl and blood began to gush out forcefully as if he were still alive. After his body was burned, the unexplained deaths stopped. In the city of Blantyre, Malawi, in the year 2002, villagers claimed they were being attacked by creatures that were sucking their blood. Many reported feeling pain in their necks when they woke up, with small wounds resembling bite marks. Some said they saw a large shadow flying from one rooftop to another at night. The fear intensified when mysterious deaths began to occur. The Malawian government denied these rumors, stating it was merely superstition. But the villagers believed that vampires had invaded their villages and claimed that some people were collaborating with them. This led to violence, where several people were beaten and even killed on suspicion of being part of the alleged conspiracy. One of the most famous modern cases involving vampires is the Highgate vampire incident, which occurred in Highgate Cemetery, London, during the 1970s. Residents of the area began reporting sightings of a tall, shadowy figure with red eyes wandering around the cemetery. Others claimed they felt as if someone was watching them at night and woke up with unexplained neck pain. A journalist named Sean Manchester investigated the incident and claimed that a vampire was indeed residing within Highgate Cemetery. According to Manchester, the vampire had been buried there centuries ago, but had begun to awaken and prey on local residents. A group of paranormal researchers raided the cemetery at night and discovered a coffin containing what they believed to be the vampire's body. They reportedly drove a wooden stake through its heart and set it on fire. After this incident, reports of the vampire significantly decreased. In the history of vampires, one name is frequently mentioned: Elizabeth Bathory from Hungary. She was a noblewoman who was rumored to be one of history's true vampires. Elizabeth was accused of killing over 600 young girls in brutal ways, and some testimonies claim she slaughtered them and bathed in their blood, believing it would grant her eternal youth. Over time, her actions became too extreme, and it became evident that she was involved in horrifying crimes. She was eventually arrested and imprisoned until she passed away. In a certain village in South Africa, a young girl passed away from an unknown illness. Her body was buried with honor, but a few days later, her parents reported seeing her walking outside their home at night, wearing the same clothes she was buried in. Neighbors claimed they heard her crying in the dark, and local animals seemed unusually frightened. By the fifth day, her parents decided to exhume her grave, and to their great shock, her body was no longer inside the coffin. This event filled the village with fear, and some people left the area, afraid that the girl had returned as a vampire to hunt them. Is there any truth to it? These events raise many questions. Are vampires real, or are they just fictional stories? Why have ancient graves shown remains of bodies buried in unusual ways? Why do mysterious deaths of people drained of blood continue to be reported in different parts of the world? Scientists say that some of these events can be explained by diseases such as porphyria, a condition that causes skin to blister, and a fear of sunlight, rabies, which can make someone crave blood, or severe anemia. But for those who believe in vampires, all these are just ways to cover up the truth of their existence. Do you think science is trying to hide real evidence? Or are vampires just scary legends? If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to get more videos like this. Your feedback is very important to us.